Hey everyone, and welcome to the Why Not podcast, hosted by me, Yvonne, and Chrissy. In a world where everyone is asking you why, we are asking why not. Hello everyone, you're very welcome to Why Not, with myself, Yvonne, and Chrissy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
So my name is Yvonne, and I'm a yoga teacher. And
Go on.
go on, Yvonne. And this is Chrissy, your virtual
And
PT.
a what? A virtual PT?
Your virtual PT, yeah.
I'm a real life PT too.
Well, yeah, but like right now we're online.
Yeah.
But yes, real life PT too.
She just likes to pretend. She does plays games where she pretends she's a PT.
She's just playing a big life game, I guess we all are.
That is true.
And speaking of which, so the last podcast we recorded, we were in phase 2 of lockdown, which was meant to last 3 weeks, I think. But now we've skyrocketed forward and we're in phase 3 now. So that's all a bit mad. So everything's back open again now in Dublin for the most part.
Yeah, well, anything that isn't is most of it's back open from Monday, so it's gonna be
Yeah,
crazy.
it's nuts. I mean, it went so fast. Like we were kind of doing these. This is for all our many listeners across the globe, obviously, by the way.
Who doesn't
Um,
know how lockdown went in Ireland?
yeah, exactly, because we've listeners all over the world. Um, all those people, like we obviously, we're doing these 3-week phases, but then they're just gone now. We're just done. Like that's it. Like so, it's a bit mad. Like it's a lot. It's a lot to
There's
take in.
there's one other thing I think, one or two things they've left in the last phase. Don't ask me what they are, but there was.
Oh, like there's some things that will not be open yet.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess like concerts and stuff.
Yeah, the large outdoor gatherings are well, they're anyway, our industry is back, so that's all that matters.
We're okay. Um,
The rest of
but myself and Chrissy are both kind of loud and proud introverts. We've talked about it on the podcast before. Um, so for us, actually, lockdown kind of suited our lives. I mean, we probably would both find it fairly easy to spend a lot of time alone. I definitely didn't have that like mad like pang for nights out and for like I did miss my friends, like my individual friends I did miss. But like when people are like, oh, I just can't wait to go back out with the lads or whatever, I definitely did not have that. Like that feeling just didn't, I never got that.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, not that like I said, like I do all like my friends and everything, but especially your people going, oh, I can't wait for to go for a few pints in the pub. It sounds to me like it's more effort than it's worth. So I'm just kind of like happy with my little home sessions with less people.
100%. Like there is things that I missed about socializing, of course. Like I'm not like a complete hermit, but like I could be, and very happily probably. But like there's little things I miss. Like I miss being able to just go over to my parents' house and like stuff like that. Like, and I hadn't seen my granddad in ages. I miss my granddad, stuff like that. But you know, for the most part, like I was in that way, I was fine. Now other things were hard, but that was fine.
Yeah.
So we wanted to just talk a little bit about being an introvert today, actually, and what it's like. Because honestly, the world just seems like it's a very extroverted place. And we're kind of taught from a very early age that being an extrovert is the right way to be. And if you're an introvert, you're doing something wrong. It's always kind of portrayed as this negative quality in a person. And extroverted is like what you're striving for. But I definitely don't see it that way. I mean, once I got to say, look, I'm an introvert and that's the way I am, I'm really happy with it. Life got a lot easier when I wasn't trying to push outside of that. How's your experience with that? Is it the same for you?
I suppose I've probably a lot of been an an introvert growing up, I suppose, which I wouldn't have realised, I was just shy.
Yeah.
But that, I suppose that means you're introverted. But like I've said, I suppose, like 4 times now. But anyway, let's play a counting game.
Who's gonna count to 4?
When I got like, I think people might be surprised to say that I'm an introvert, or when it's like, oh well, hold on, you post on Instagram all the time, you are a gym instructor in front of people, you, what was the other thing I do? Oh yeah, podcast.
Yes, you do that.
But like, it takes a lot to bring yourself out to do something like that, And this podcast probably wouldn't have happened in the first place if you hadn't said it to me. I was like, well, maybe I'll do a podcast, but I wouldn't be able to do that. Oh,
And
yeah.
look
And
at
then you were
you,
like,
so good.
let's do a podcast. And I was like, you know what? I've been thinking about it. Feck it, let's go for it.
So do you feel like those kind of things really push you outside of your comfort zone? So like speaking to a group of people, speaking to a camera, talking to a microphone, those kind of things are tough on your introverted self.
Oh, horrible. Not horrible, but like, obviously, as you practice it more, you get better at it.
Yeah.
But like, starting out like that, like, come to a group of people, I'm like, what do I say to them? Just stare
I found
blindly.
like my experience is quite different. Like those things are okay for me. Like I can speak to a microphone, grand. I can speak to a camera or be on camera, fine. I guess it's probably because I've been performing since I was 3, literally up on the stage at 3 years old. Like it's just been part of my life. It's never been hard. But I
Mm.
think that's because I can step into another role and I can be like, I'm being performance Yvonne right now, and I'll do performance Yvonne stuff. My hard thing with being an introvert is socializing. It's
Yeah,
always socializing, whether that be one on one, whether it's a group, whether it's my best friend in the whole world, someone I love, or anyone. If I have to spend time socializing, I'll have to spend that exact time or more recovering from the socializing, like building my energy back up. Like it drains my energy. And that doesn't mean that I don't want to do it. Like I love socializing with the people who I love, but I
yeah,
just really have to recover from it, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Do you get
I
what I mean? Like, does that happen to you?
Not really, but I suppose sometimes it does. Or like my other thing is, say, I'd be like, oh, we're supposed to go out at the weekend. And if I don't have the energy to do it, I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
Or something like that, like, or even like a Zoom call, sometimes I'm kind of like, oh, I wouldn't mind, like, talking to people today because, poor Peter said 3 months of me beside him all the time. And then like it actually gets to the day and I'm like, do you want to do something? And he's like, meh. And I'm like, yeah, actually, do you know what? It's far more effort. Let's just put a movie on. I like you. I'm used to you.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Mark doesn't really count as like in like my social circle. He's just literally like an extension of me now.
Yeah,
He's just like, he doesn't count. Um,
it's a
but I
good
think
thing
that
though.
like, and like, I'm not shy anymore. Maybe shy is the wrong word. I'm not so shy as I used to be as a child.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, like if I've socialized all day, like say if I've spent like 6 hours or even less, like 3 hours, like with people, I will have really had a good time, but then I need to probably take a nap. Like I need to like
Yeah.
regenerate. Whereas I think for extroverted people, it's the opposite. Like their energy gets zapped by being alone and they need to like fill the cup by being around people, socializing.
Yeah.
Um, and I have some friends who would like consider themselves more extroverted, and that can be hard, because they need their energy looked after in one way, and for me, it's the very opposite.
Mm.
Um, like say if I had to like figure out a problem or something, I'd probably be more likely to just go really quiet or like if I'm having a bad day, I'm probably just going to go really, really quiet and not talk. Whereas if someone maybe extroverted is having a bad day, they might need advice or they might need help or support or like they need to talk about it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Um, I suppose one of my other things as well is like I would say I am quite shy. So say for instance, if I'm coming into a new group of people, or like I find that very difficult. Whereas do you ever like have that and you're like, oh, I know this one person, so you kind of latch off them and bounce off them a little bit. Like that could be a social or a class situation. Like I'm like, oh, I know these people. I can kind of make a few things, but like, I don't know about the rest of them.
Definitely, like when I started doing all the classes in the gym and you were the coach, that made it so much easier for me because I knew like at least I know Chrissy, like, and that made it so much easier. If I had to
Mm,
walk into those classes knowing no one, like I would have found that so hard.
yeah,
Especially because the gym, like if you do a yoga class, it's not that social. You know, you go in, you sit on your mat, everyone's quite quiet. There might be a little bit of chat, but it's generally not really that chatty. But the gym,
mm,
like gym classes, people are really like there's loads of banter and people are quite friendly with each other, which is nice. Um, but that was so foreign for me that like, you know, you go in and have the chats. I'm like used to going in just sitting on my mat and being quiet.
yeah, I
Um,
get.
so I was so glad I had you there for that. Like, oh my God, I would have been such an awkward little pineapple.
I no, like I did actually notice that in classes and stuff where just like you would generally be very like um talky and chatty and stuff like that, and it's just the quietness level because you're kind of out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I get so quiet. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
It's like
So I'll
let's chat
just
here,
fade into the corner and no one will know I'm here.
but that's the way I am like as a person in general. So I was like, let's go check on her a little bit. So I know what you're going through. I'm like, that's me like in every situation. I'm like inside.
No, it makes for a good friendship though, right?
Yeah.
Because we can be like, ah, Chrissy's just being a weird little lemon over there. That's fine.
It's like a yoga class is grand. I can stay quiet because nobody wants to talk to me anyway.
So, what does it feel like for you if you've like socialized for a whole day?
It depends who I'm with.
Wow, okay.
So obviously, if it's like close friends, like I'm grand, whatever, it's cool. But um, if it's like a group I'm not so certain of, like I don't know too well, like I am very quiet at the start, and then I kind of like gradually like tap in, and then the way as well, like if there is groups of friends, if there are good with people you don't get on with,
Mm-hmm.
I've just basically taken to just avoiding them as much as possible, so I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, fair.
So they won't notice, but I am actively avoiding them because
Yeah.
like it's hard enough for me to interact with people I do like. I don't want to be wasting my time with people I don't like.
Oh, that's so fair. Like your energy is precious. You can't be wasting that on little knobs. It's just like
Like pointless
spend it with good
conversation
people.
where so that like I'm just like, oh, it's taking me a lot of energy to get out here. I'm not wasting it with you guys. Like after socializing, I don't think I have that issue. But
Okay.
to be honest, I rarely actually socialize. Say for instance, this is gonna sound really bad, it's gonna make me sound like an alcoholic, but I rarely socialize with people without alcohol. So
No, I
like
know what you mean. Yeah.
like like if I'm meeting up with people, they might be Peter's friends or we're going to the pub or something like that. So like maybe I'm socially drained, but I could be just hungover.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's,
Well, there's definitely that kind of like physical energy drain as well as happening after a night on the booze.
yeah.
Um You see, I find like it doesn't matter how much I love the person. Like I could be having the best time ever, but I'm just more aware of it now. If I've spent a long time socializing, I'm gonna
Mm.
need to like, build that energy back up on my own. Like I kind of gain energy on my own. If I'm like hanging out, reading, playing Skyrim, shout out to Sheila. Um Sheila is my Skyrim character and she's awesome. Um any of those things, my energy goes back up, I'm in a better mood and I'm ready to go again. But if I just
Mm.
continue to like be with people consistently for long periods of time, my energy's gone. I can't do it. Like it's madness.
I
But
think the other
like
I think the other thing though as well is right. It's probably intensified in lockdown because we're not like used to having multiple social occasions in one week.
I know.
Whereas, like, 'cause remember you were telling me like a week or so ago you had like 5 or 6 different things over the course of a couple of days, and I was like, oh God, that sounds exhausting.
It
But
was
like,
so exhausting. I
but
ended
like,
up having to cancel one of the things because I was like, I actually have nothing left. I need to just relax today.
But before you'd kind of be used to it. Like, say for instance, maybe some of that socializing be going on at work. Like, but say for instance, one of your things is we're specifically meeting up with friends from work because you can't meet up with them because you're not in work. Whereas you'd have
Exactly.
that kind of buzz in work with them, and you wouldn't have to go, okay, today we have to do this because we haven't seen each other.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah,
So
that's so true. And everything became a little bit more planned with lockdown, I think, as well. Like it was like, if you wanted to socialize, like you'd obviously have to meet up in a place where you could be socially distant. You really have to plan for it. Like, so it
yeah,
became like this like date. It wasn't just like, do you want to just do this randomly?
we'll grab
Um,
lunch after this or something like that. It's more like, okay, we have to have this place here. We can have a picnic at 4 o'clock on Saturday.
yeah, we'll check the weather and I'll bring my hand sanitizer and my face mask. Like it's all just a bit, I don't know, it's all just a bit exhausting and a bit mad.
Mm,
Um, but so do you think then lockdown kind of suited you?
yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't realize how much it would until I realized I wasn't doing anything. But you know what, actually, it's kind of like I feel like I was training for lockdown by accident because I didn't drink for 2 months, right? And I remember like the 1 week I had out was like the week before lockdown. So like
Yeah,
basically for 2 months straight, I didn't go out because like I've gotten to the point as well, and Peter will be the same. It's like we're not drinking. It's such an effort to go to the pub because all you have to do is listen to it for 2 hours while you're there doing your duty and showing up is listening to people going, "Why aren't you drinking? Why aren't you drinking? Why aren't you drinking? Why aren't you drinking?" So we just didn't go out for 2 months. So I've already, like I said, I kind of trained for lockdown. I was used to being in on my own with him. So when it actually
yeah,
ran around that we had to do it, it was like, it
yeah.
seemed like it's a big deal.
I think I've been training for lockdown my whole life, to be fair. I mean, I've always liked that stuff. Now, it did, when it was within the 2K radius, that was hard. Like, I did start to feel a bit trapped.
Mm,
Um, and I was so nervous going outside, like, even going for a walk and stuff, I found really stressful. Like, I'm kind of over it now. I think the fear of the virus is actually gone right now, even though I know it still exists, it's still out there, but like, I'm not so scared about getting it now.
yeah,
Um, and I think I've just accepted that like if I got it, I would get it and I'd have to like be sick and go through it and hopefully make it through and that would be okay. And I'm doing everything I can to not get it. And if I did, I'm in a super healthy, strong situation where I would fight it off, probably. But yeah, I think apart from that, like spending lots of time on my own has been no bother. Um like I haven't really been bored or anything. Like none of those things have really felt like my experience with lockdown.
mm.
Even though I know a
I,
lot of people really struggled with that aspect. Like the extroverts struggled massively, I think.
I think a lot of it as well, like, just think from people is, I'd say people who are living at home with their parents struggle a lot more. Like, we're about lucky, we're living out, and I'd say I would have banged my head through the wall if I was living with my parents. And
Oh
most of the
God,
people I'm
yeah.
hearing complaining would say be introverts, but they live with their parents.
Yeah, yeah. My dad listens to this podcast, so Dad, this isn't for you. But
You live
yeah,
near
I
them?
would actually lose my mind living with them. Love
Yeah,
my parents, they're the best, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Like I need my own place. Um, so yeah,
I
definitely
don't,
that
I don't,
before.
yeah, same. I don't know if my parents listen to the podcast, but I do know my auntie does. So just don't tell my dad that. He probably knows well though. I think he put his head through a wall living with me for 3 months straight as well. So I think it's like a mutually accepted thing that it's a good thing I don't live with them.
Oh, 100%. My mom and dad are both fairly, I'd say, to a level extroverted people,
Mm,
and I feel like when I lived there, they did not understand that like me spending loads of time on my own in my room isn't necessarily bad. Like that's actually me having a great time. And I think there's this thing out there that like now I know obviously like if people start to isolate themselves really like drastically and
yeah,
out of character, that like that's not a good sign and you should really keep an eye on that person. I'm not saying that. But there's also this kind of expectation out there that if you are a very you know, like you spend time on your own in your bedroom or whatever, that you are definitely not okay. Like for me, that's not the case a lot of the time. Like I'm living my best life. Like that's just where
Yeah.
I'm happy. And I definitely did struggle a long time with getting out of the house because I was very anxious, but now I'm not. I just actually really like my little nest.
I just
Um,
don't want to move.
I just don't want to. But yeah, so I just, it's this whole thing that like being extroverted is like the positive and being introverted is the negative, which is the
Mm.
expectation. Do you think that, like, do you feel like being an introvert is negative?
No, because I don't care what people think anymore. But um,
Yeah.
I think, do you know what I think it is? Do you know why your parents are probably like that? It's just, you know, when you're like, you basically they just want their kids to have friends, so they're worried that they'll end up kind of lonely, I'd say, and that's probably why they're like. But when you're older, obviously, it's like, no, it's all right, don't worry.
Yeah, I
But
know. That's the thing. Like the friends that I have are great. I love the friends that I have. I don't so much go for like a big groups. It's like most of my friends are just like individual friends. I might have a couple that are like within like a small little group or something.
mm,
But I don't have this mad drive to like have this big massive group of friends either. It just doesn't really suit me. Like um, it's just not really my way of socializing. I prefer if I really, really have a good connection with someone or like have good crack with someone to just like socialize with them one on one or in a small group kind of setting. It just makes more sense for me. Um,
yeah, I'm kind of like, well, see, I do have a few groups of friends, but I would say like I have several, like I would like to say one group of friends. I would only be like fairly good friends with one of them. You know, the rest are social mates, and
yeah.
I prefer having like a single or like two max in my friends. Like, you know, like the rest of them, it's like I've got you, I've got a friend of mine from school, I have my friend who's abandoned me and left for Sweden.
Oh,
But I don't know if she listens to this podcast, but I hope she does and she hears that.
come back from Sweden.
But like I have those kind of like dotted around singular friends. Does that
Yes.
make sense? But they're very close friends of mine.
Yes, that's like me. Same as me. And it's just so much easier for me to socialize that way. I feel like in a big group, I either just can't actually do it. I'm like, whoa, I don't know how to even talk right now. It's way too much.
Mm.
Or I go the opposite and I just completely go like act really extroverted because I'm like putting on this show because it's like it's like a defense mechanism. I don't even really mean to do it, like, but sometimes I do
Yeah,
that. I like be like, I'm crazy, everyone look at me. And
yeah,
it's just so not me at all. And that's the most draining thing of all because I'm actually just not being myself.
yeah. No, I literally I just hide.
Yeah.
It's even like I remember on Christmas Eve last year, we went to the pub and like two different groups that we know would all be in the same year. But like say for instance, they'll be like I would be more friends with one of Peter's friends, but they all know each other kind of a little bit because they're all in school together. But
Yeah.
even like the first while when we got there, I was just like literally, I was like I said to Peter one stage, I'm just gonna follow you around for a while because I don't really know, don't really want to talk to anyone. He was like, yeah, whatever. That was literally me. I was like, I gave up. I was literally his shadow for a bit. I was like, oh, I'm not ready for this.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, that's so fair. Like in that, Christmas Eve in the pub is actually my worst nightmare.
Like
Like,
I actually don't mind it, but like even this year I was just like, oh, do you know what? It's like not really good friends with one group anymore, and then the other group I kind of know, and they're all sound, and there's nothing wrong with them. And I was just like, I don't, hello everyone, I don't know what to say to you. Happy Christmas, bye, Peter.
yeah, I find it hard. Would you say Peter is quite extroverted?
Yes, he would be. I would say.
And do you think that helps to be in that kind of dynamic in your relationship, like that he can kind of mind you in those social events?
Suppose yeah, it's just like help me. But it's helpful in the sense as well when we go to meet other people. Like he's grand.
Yeah, yeah,
Johnny,
that's
he
good.
always is very good with like meeting new people and stuff. Like I don't think like it could be a case as well. Like he has a performance background, so it could be that. Like he could be still a bit introverted, but he is very good at mixing with people. And I'm like, I use you, I headband you.
No, that's fair. I do the same with Mark. Mark isn't, I wouldn't say he's like very extroverted, like he's quite quiet, but he's
Mm.
brilliant with people. And it's just because he's so fucking lovable. There's like nothing about Mark that anyone can dislike. He's just so nice. So he
Yeah,
gets on with everyone, which is so, it's what a beautiful quality in a person. Like it's so nice. Like I don't know anyone who would have one bad thing to say about Mark, um, which is gorgeous, but that is so helpful as well because he has so many friends because everyone loves him. So
yeah,
like it that's helpful for me because I'm such an awkward lemon that I'm like, I don't know what to do in the pub, and he'll like know everyone because it's
yeah.
Mark and he's so nice.
That's it. It's like, oh, Peter, where are you? It's like, hello.
And
Ah, you still have your
funny
shadow, I
enough,
believe.
Mark and Peter are now best friends apparently.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, I think Peter like loved Mark. It was so cute.
Yeah, she does.
It was so cute. Like their friendship is really sweet.
Yeah,
I met Peter for the first time like a week ago, was it? Yeah.
yeah.
We had a
I'm Mark
little,
too.
yeah, we did. No, you've met Mark before. Oh yeah, you
I've met
definitely
Mark,
have met
yeah,
Mark.
but like
Yeah.
Mark hadn't met Peter either.
Yeah. Um, and I've met him on Zoom, but I never met him in real life. So I actually finally got to meet Petey in the flesh. It was very
Yeah,
exciting.
it's an experience, guys. But if no one has met my boyfriend, you need to.
Ah, it was so funny when he was just singing at the end of the night. He's an excellent singer. Um,
Yeah.
but you kept telling me you were like, just let him sing another one. Just wait till you hear this guy. It was so good.
It's actually it was like three of the lads that were there last week were guitarists, and they all didn't have guitar. Oh my God, we forgot Peter's guitar today.
Oh, next time we come over, we'll bring Mark's guitar because, like, I love a sing song. Like, I just love it.
Oh, so good. We actually have a video from a couple of weeks ago when we were hanging out with another couple, and Peter was playing this song, the belter song, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, he's so good. And I took a video of it, and the two of us played it like the other day, and I was like, oh, dude, you need to practice. And he was like, I do need to practice. He was like, it sounded so good when I was drunk. He's like, look at him singing, and we were like, oh, that was not as good. And he was like, oh,
Oh, well, it sounded really good when I was drunk, so I don't know. It sounded good to me. Yeah, so look, we're introverts and we manage to socialize and
yeah,
success, you know.
there's
I
only
think
four of us.
yeah, like it's because you're shy or introverted does not mean that you don't like to socialize. It just means that it's maybe more challenging than it is for an extroverted person.
Yeah, and if they're just sitting there quiet for a while, it doesn't necessarily mean they're not trying to be rude or anything. They're just like trying to process.
Yes. Oh, I think I've
Exactly.
been mistaken for being rude so many times. And like, I'm literally like, no, you don't understand. I'm just awkward. I just don't know how to manage this social situation. So I'm just
Yeah,
going to sit here. Like, it's not a calculated thing that I'm choosing not to talk. I'm just like, no, no words.
yeah. Like every so often, you're like, yeah, yeah, nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, wait, I'm gonna do one, I'm gonna do a sentence, I'm gonna say one, I'm gonna ask a question, I'm doing it. And then they've moved on to a new topic, and you're like, damn, missed my chance. Next time.
Or, or have you ever been overthinking replying so much that you end up just like screaming the reply at them? I'm gonna ask them a question now. I'm gonna ask them a question now. Like, how was your week? Like, oh shit.
So you ask a question that's completely out of context or something because you literally had to think so hard about it. Like, it just doesn't even make sense.
But it's like so aggressive and so quick. They have no idea what you just said. And you're like, it's gonna go away now.
Oh, yeah, I really understand that so much.
Don't
I
mind me.
can't
I'm just going to go leave.
I know, or even stuff like that. You're like, you overthink every little thing. You're like, I want to go to the bathroom, so I'm going to need to, like, slide over to my left to, like, say, slide out from the table or whatever. But there's somebody sitting beside you. And you're like, should I say, excuse me? Should I say, sorry? Should I say, can I go to the toilet? Should I just try and squeeze by them without touching them? Should I do
They
this? Should I
bang
do
the table and stand up and announce I'm going for a wee.
Yeah, how do I manage this? And like, whereas other people who are not thinking about those things just get up and go to the toilet and it's no big deal. But you're like there literally about to wet your pants because you have thought so hard about how to leave the table, and then you'll end up just holding it forever and waiting for them to move because you just can't actually manage it. You can't
Or
figure it
have
out.
you waited that long before and you've not done it, and then someone's like, "Oh, I'm going to the loo." I'm like, "Oh, while you're at it, I'll go too."
No, my worst nightmare is when someone goes to me if I'm like, I'm going to the toilet, and then someone's like, I'll go with you. I'm like, no, I'm
No,
going to the toilet to have a little alone time, please. I need to
I, I,
regenerate my energy.
I just meant like it's your way out. If you're stuck in, you haven't been able to slide past someone, and you're actually going to wet yourself. You're like, "No, I'll go to the loo too." Just go to the
Oh
other
my
one.
God, you will never catch me doing that. You know, when everyone used to, well, I used to like socialize in the toilets and clubs and stuff like that was like, if you were going to the toilet in the club, like you were literally going
Mm.
there for the chats. That used to be hell. Oh my God, I used to find that so hard.
I haven't had this very much because I've mostly hung out with lads, so there might be two of us going to the loo. So thankfully, it's like at worst I have three girls, myself included.
I just find that very hard. Like,
Mm.
find that very hard now. I used to do the whole thing like where I'd go into the cubicle with them and everything, like,
Oh
um,
yeah,
because I knew that's like what I was meant to do. But deep down inside, I was like, this is the worst night of my life. Like, it's
you need to
just
watch
too
your feet.
difficult.
There was no gossip that can't wait till you're finished pissing.
Yeah. As I got older now, I stopped doing that because I would find that like I literally couldn't wee in front of people, like it wouldn't come out like as hard as I tried. When I was younger now, I think I was fine. Like, but now
I
if I
just
was
think
to
I think I just got older and I was like, I'm having my own space.
if I'm going for a was, I want my cubicle to myself, please. Like,
Yeah,
that's fine. I just
it's
want
like
to take my little time.
there may be two of us in this queue, but you can go in the next cubicle when the other four women come out of it.
Oh my God, remember nightclubs? Like, I act as if they don't exist anymore. Well, I guess they don't really at the moment. But like, people
Mm.
be banging on the doors to go in if you took too long and all. How did I used to do this? Like, how did I used
Oh,
to go out to the clubs?
give me like PTSD because of
I
this.
literally think I have PTSD from the clubs.
See, don't go there. You won't get a seat.
No, you won't get a seat and you won't have a good time.
No, you will not. And there'll be too many people there. Ugh.
You'll pay a tenner to go in as well. Why do you have to pay into nightclubs? Like, that's ridiculous.
Because someone came up with the idea and people are like, all right,
I'm gonna sneeze, just so you're aware. Excuse me.
that's you.
I sneezed into my elbow, don't worry.
Good. Poor Mark.
Not that there's anyone here that I could infect, but also it was just a regular old sneeze. So how are you feeling that you are going back to normal? I'm doing like inverted commas for normal.
Um, at least it's staggered, I think. So you're starting off with smaller groups and then building up to the bigger ones.
Yeah.
I've absolutely no interest in going to pubs because it just seems like so much effort for an hour and a half to have to go
Yeah.
home anyway. Um, but like whereas work, I was like, I'll be all right because you're kind of getting there slowly. What about yourself?
Um, Weirdly enough, the pubs thing is actually really interesting and I quite like it. So what is it? You get an hour and a half in the pub, that's it. And you have to
Yeah, we have,
spend at
we
least
have
€9 or whatever.
yeah,
Like I actually like it. Um Now,
because you can go home.
yeah, there's an excuse, like, right, I have to go home now. Because like I would find that so hard. Like that's another thing about socializing that I find quite hard. It's like, how do you say politely, like, okay, I'm finished now, I'd like to go home. Because I'm always the one that wants to go home first, because I'm always the one that's had my energy spent quickest. I like early nights and early mornings. I don't care if everyone thinks I'm boring. It's what I like. Don't judge me. Um, and yeah, so like if I've socialized for an hour and a half and I've had like one drink or two drinks or whatever, um, I'd be buzzing to go home then. I'd be like, yes, sweet, had a great time, got to catch up. I had my little drinky. That's as many drinks as I want, to be honest, one or two. And
Mm.
like literally it's taken me until like now to recover from your second birthday. Like, I mean, I just am not able, like, so that suits me to the ground. So that works for me. Work is hard. Now, going back to yoga teaching, I'm really excited about seeing the real humans and having the energy in the room, music, lighting candles, everything. I'm buzzing. There's loads of like new restrictions, obviously, that I'm gonna need to like be aware of. Like the mats have to be 2 meters apart. There's no props. You can't like, so you know, like yoga blocks or bolsters, stuff like that. Like they just don't exist anymore unless you have your own. So you can't really plan a class around them because not everyone will have them. So that's something to be aware of. But look, I'm just buzzing to get back into the studio. That'll be fine. I used to
Mm.
work in restaurants. Now, won't get into the full drama of it. Basically, I don't anymore, I think. I'm not sure if there's work going to be there for me. Because like obviously there's limited staff and stuff like that, and that's going to be quite hard for me. Oh, there's an echo. Can you hear that? Can you? Oh, it
Yeah,
seems
the
to be
echo's
gone.
gone now.
Okay, that's good. Sorry everyone, just I heard an echo and I was afraid that it would affect the recording. Yeah, so with that, that's hard. I just don't really know if that job exists for me anymore, so that's hard because do I start looking for something else? Will I look in other restaurants or will I wait to see if the hours improve? That is really nerve-wracking. And to be honest, I just want to get back to that kind of normal where like I'm working full time again.
Yeah.
Um, so that's hard. But apart from that, I'll be fine. And look, I'll figure out the job thing. Like
Yeah, of
I'll
course,
either
that's the thing.
be there or there'll be another one.
Exactly.
Yeah. But in terms of socializing, I think I appreciate socializing a little bit more now. Um, because like I didn't get to for so long that now like when I socialize it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm actually weirdly excited for a night out maybe, but like not to a club.
Yeah, that they're not opening for a long time anyway, but like, your next night out, you get an hour and a half and a meal.
Woohoo! That's all I need.
Mm.
Okay, Chrissy, well, we might leave it there.
It sounds, I think we've covered it all,
And
hopefully.
thank you so much for the chat. Thank you
Yeah.
for all your insights as always. So cool to have these chats with you.
And same to yourself as well. It's always good to see how someone else feels. Some of our things are similar, some of ours are different. So it's good
Yeah.
the way we have both to bounce off each other.
Yes. Well, thank you to all the listeners for tuning in today. And as always, you are so welcome to get in touch with us in any way you need to. We now have our very own Instagram for the podcast. So it's YWHY dot not podcast. Okay, so that's Y dot like a little full stop, not podcast. So you can follow that on Instagram and then you'll get the links to all our episodes and everything like that. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, you can find me at Yvonne underscore Hegarty underscore yoga. Chrissy, where can people find you?
Find me on Instagram at Chrissy H Fitness, so CHRISSY H and then the word fitness. Or if you want to see me making a fool of myself, my TikTok is Chrissy H Fit.
Cool. So thanks again, everyone, and thank you, Chrissy, and we will chat to you all next time.
Yeah, talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to Why Not podcast with Yvonne and Chrissy. We appreciate any support, so please subscribe and share and like the podcast if you can.